For decades, the name Niger conjured up images of poverty, a landlocked nation grappling with hunger, political turmoil, and a seemingly endless cycle of aid dependency. It was a place most people knew little about except for its unenviable position on the UN's Human Development Index, often at the very bottom. But something remarkable has happened in this West African nation. Niger, once a symbol of despair, has become a beacon of hope, defying all expectations. The numbers tell an unbelievable story. Just a few years ago, Niger's entire economy was valued at a meager $1 billion. Today that figure has skyrocketed to an astounding $300 billion, a 30,000% increase that has left economists and world leaders, well, speechless. How did a country, written off by many as a lost cause, achieve one of the most dramatic economic transformations in modern history? The answer, as you'll soon discover, is a tale of courage, defiance, and a radical shift in thinking that's shaking the foundations of the global order. This is the story of how Niger, the underdog of Africa, rose from the ashes to become a potential economic powerhouse. A story that's sending shockwaves across the African continent and beyond, forcing the world to reconsider everything it thought it knew about this often overlooked nation. So get ready to dive deep into the heart of this incredible transformation, exploring the factors that fueled its meteoric rise and the challenges that lie ahead. The Sahara Desert, a vast expanse of unforgiving terrain, has long been synonymous with hardship and struggle. Yet, from its sun-baked heart, a new narrative is emerging. Niger, a country that occupies a significant portion of this formidable desert, is proving that even in the most arid of landscapes, the seeds of prosperity can be sown. But this isn't a story of overnight success or some miraculous discovery of hidden riches. It's about a nation that decided to rewrite its own destiny, challenging the exploitative systems that kept it trapped in poverty. Niger's journey is a testament to the power of self-belief and the audacity to dream big. For too long, it had been relegated to the role of a passive recipient of foreign aid, its fate seemingly preordained by external forces. But the winds of change have swept across the Sahara, ushering in a new era of assertiveness and a determination to control its own resources, its own economy, and its own future. This is a pivotal moment in Africa's history. Niger's transformation, if sustained, could have a ripple effect across the continent, inspiring other nations to break free from the shackles of neo-colonialism and chart their own paths to prosperity. The world is watching, eager to see if Niger can sustain this remarkable momentum and truly usher in a new dawn for Africa. Niger, a landlocked nation in West Africa, often evokes images of rolling sand dunes and scorching sun. The Sahara Desert, covering a significant portion of its territory, paints a picture of hardship and resilience. But beneath this seemingly barren landscape lies a wealth of natural resources, a stark contrast to the poverty that has defined its recent past. The earth beneath Niger's feet holds a treasure trove of uranium, gold, oil, and lithium, the very building blocks of the modern world. These resources, however, have been both a blessing and a curse for the Nigerian people. While the world clamored for Niger's uranium, fueling their nuclear ambitions and energy needs, the people of Niger saw little benefit. The profits from these extractions largely flowed into the coffers of foreign corporations and a select few within the country, leaving the majority struggling to make ends meet. The image of Niger as a poverty-stricken nation persisted, even as truckloads of its mineral wealth crossed its borders, destined for foreign shores. This stark contrast, the abundance of resources juxtaposed with the poverty of its people, lays bare the heart of Niger's story, a story of exploitation, resilience, and a burning desire for change. The discovery of vast reserves of oil in the early 2000s offered a glimmer of hope, a chance for Niger to break free from the chains of poverty. But history was poised to repeat itself. Foreign companies, with their superior negotiating power and the backing of powerful governments, struck deals that secured their interests while leaving Niger with a pittance. The oil, like the uranium before it, began flowing out of the country, leaving behind a trail of broken promises and unfulfilled dreams. Niger's story is, unfortunately, not unique. It is a story that has played out across the African continent, a tale as old as time. The legacy of colonialism, with its deliberate underdevelopment and exploitative policies, cast a long shadow over Niger. as it did over many other African nations. Political independence, while a momentous achievement, did not automatically translate into economic emancipation. The chains of colonialism may have been broken, but the invisible shackles of neocolonialism remained firmly in place. Foreign powers, under the guise of aid and development, continued to exert their influence, dictating economic policies and controlling the flow of resources. Niger, like many of its neighbors, found itself trapped in a cycle of dependency, reliant on foreign aid and loans that, while providing temporary relief, often came with strings attached, strings that further tied their economies to the whims of external actors. This neo-colonial system, with its intricate web of control and manipulation, ensured that the wealth generated from Niger's resources continued to flow outwards, enriching foreign corporations and bolstering the economies of former colonial powers. The people of Niger, meanwhile, remained on the periphery, mere spectators to their own exploitation. This system, deeply entrenched and ruthlessly efficient, kept Niger and countless other African nations tethered to a cycle of poverty and underdevelopment. The consequences of this dependency were felt in every facet of Nigerian life. A lack of investment in education, healthcare, and infrastructure left the population vulnerable and lagging behind global development indices. The promises of aid often rang hollow, with funds siphoned off through corruption or tied to projects that did little to empower local communities or foster sustainable growth. The people of Niger, despite being citizens of a resource-rich nation, were denied the basic necessities of a dignified life. This dependence came at a heavy price: the erosion of national sovereignty and the stifling of true economic potential. Decisions about Niger's resources were often made in boardrooms thousands of miles away, with little regard for the needs or aspirations of its people. The exploitation of its resources, rather than being a catalyst for development, became a tool for perpetuating a system that benefited the few at the expense of the many. This is the Niger that the world rarely saw, a nation held hostage by a system designed to keep it impoverished and subservient. But, beneath the surface, the spirit of resistance was simmering, fueled by a growing awareness of the injustice and a burning desire to reclaim their destiny. The seeds of change were being sown, just waiting for the right moment to sprout and challenge the established order. The year 2023 marked a turning point in Niger's history. A military coup, met with mixed reactions from the international community, sent shockwaves through the nation and reverberated across the African continent. President Mohamed Bazoum, seen by many as a symbol of the status quo, was ousted from power, accused of failing to address the deep-seated issues plaguing the nation. The coup leaders, a group of military officers, cited rampant corruption, continued foreign exploitation, and a lack of progress in improving the lives of ordinary Nigerians as the impetus for their actions. The international community, as is often the case with such events, was quick to condemn the coup, labeling it a threat to democracy and stability in the region. Sanctions were imposed, and calls for a return to constitutional order echoed from Western capitals. But within Niger, the mood was different. Many welcomed the coup as a necessary disruption, a break from the past that had kept them mired in poverty and dependence. The streets of Niamey, the capital city, were filled with people celebrating the downfall of the old regime and expressing cautious optimism for the future. The coup leaders, in their first address to the nation, promised a new era for Niger, one free from the shackles of neo-colonialism and corruption. They vowed to prioritize the needs of the Nigerian people, to invest in education, healthcare, and infrastructure, and to ensure that the nation's vast resources were used for the benefit of all its citizens. Their message resonated with a population long accustomed to empty promises and unfulfilled dreams. The coup, while a dramatic rupture in Niger's political landscape, also presented a unique opportunity, a chance to reset the course of the nation and chart a new path towards genuine prosperity. Central to the new government's agenda was a commitment to national sovereignty and economic self-reliance. No longer content with being dictated to by foreign powers, the new leadership sought to assert Niger's independence and control over its own destiny. This vision was anchored in the belief that Niger, with its abundant resources and resilient people, had the potential to stand tall on the global stage, not as a recipient of aid, but as an equal partner in development. The first order of business was to renegotiate the exploitative contracts that had long siphoned off the profits from Niger's mineral wealth. Foreign mining companies, accustomed to dictating terms, were caught off guard by the new government's assertiveness. They were told, in no uncertain terms, that the old ways of doing business were over. Niger, they were reminded, was no longer content with crumbs from the table. It demanded a fair share of the profits generated from its resources. This newfound assertiveness extended beyond the mining sector. The government announced plans to nationalize key industries, including the oil and gas sector, to ensure that the profits from these strategic resources were reinvested back into the country. Foreign aid, once a lifeline, was now viewed with suspicion, seen as a tool of dependence rather than a catalyst for genuine development. The message was clear. Niger was ready to stand on its own 2 feet, to chart its own course and to build a future where its citizens, not foreign corporations or governments, were the primary beneficiaries of its wealth. The coup in Niger and its subsequent policies sent ripples through the international community. Western powers, long accustomed to exerting influence in the region, expressed their displeasure, threatening further sanctions and isolation. But the new leadership in Niger, emboldened by the support of its people, refused to back down. They recognized that the old order, with its unequal partnerships and exploitative practices, was crumbling, and that a new world order, one based on mutual respect and shared prosperity, was taking shape. In this new landscape, Niger found itself forging alliances with countries that respected its sovereignty and shared its vision for a more equitable world. China, with its vast experience in infrastructure development and its no-strings-attached approach to investment, became a key partner. Russia, too, emerged as a potential ally, offering security cooperation and access to its vast markets. The message was clear: Niger was open for business, but on its own terms. This shift in alliances was not merely a matter of pragmatism, it was a reflection of a deeper ideological shift. Niger, like many other developing nations, was no longer content with being relegated to the periphery of the global order. It sought to be a rule-maker, not a rule-taker, in shaping a world where resources were shared equitably and where every nation had an equal opportunity to prosper. The coup, while condemned by some, had inadvertently opened the door to a new era of partnerships, one where Niger was no longer beholden to the dictates of former colonial powers, but free to pursue its own path to development in collaboration with like-minded nations. The winds of change sweeping across Niger brought with them a new vocabulary, a language of empowerment and self-determination. Resource nationalism, once a fringe concept, became the rallying cry of the new government, a bold declaration that Niger's resources belonged to its people, and would no longer be plundered for the benefit of foreign entities. This was not a rejection of foreign investment or engagement, but a firm stance against exploitation and a demand for a fair share of the profits generated from Niger's natural wealth. For decades, Niger had been a passive observer as multinational corporations, often with the backing of their home governments, extracted its uranium, gold and oil, leaving behind a trail of environmental degradation and broken promises. The old contracts, often signed during the dark days of colonialism or in the fragile post-independence era, were heavily skewed in favor of the foreign companies, denying Niger a fair price for its resources. The new government, emboldened by the aspirations of its people, decided to rewrite these rules of engagement, to assert its sovereignty and reclaim control over its economic destiny. The message was clear: the era of sweetheart deals was over. Foreign companies wanting to do business in Niger were welcome, but they would have to come to the table as equal partners, respecting the country's laws and contributing their fair share to its development. This was not about nationalization for the sake of it, but about ensuring that the benefits of resource extraction trickled down to the Nigerian people, funding schools, hospitals, roads, and other essential infrastructure. The first target of this new wave of resource nationalism was the uranium sector, long dominated by French interests. For decades, Niger had been a key supplier of uranium to France, fueling its nuclear power program and providing a steady stream of profits to French companies. However, the terms of these deals were shrouded in secrecy, and the amount of revenue flowing back to Niger remained a point of contention. The new government, determined to bring transparency to the sector, demanded a renegotiation of these contracts. They argued that the old agreements, some dating back to the colonial era, no longer reflected the current market value of uranium or Niger's status as a sovereign nation. The French government, initially resistant to any changes, found itself under increasing pressure both domestically and internationally to address the inequities of the past. After months of tense negotiations, a new agreement was reached, one that significantly increased Niger's share of the profits from its uranium exports. This landmark deal sent shockwaves through the mining industry, demonstrating that developing nations armed with the courage of their convictions could successfully challenge the established order and secure a fairer deal for their resources. The success in the uranium sector emboldened the government to take on other sectors, including gold and oil, where foreign companies had long enjoyed favorable terms. As Niger sought new partners, China emerged as a key ally, eager for resources and ready to invest. Unlike Western powers, China offered infrastructure and investment in exchange for access to Niger's mineral wealth, focusing on business, not charity. While critics warned of debt traps, on the ground, Chinese investment fueled roads, power plants, and real economic growth for both nations. China's Belt and Road Initiative transformed Niger's connectivity, building roads, railways, and pipelines that linked the country to global markets. The new infrastructure slashed transport costs, boosted exports, and attracted new industries, raising living standards and opening opportunities for Nigerians. Once isolated, Niger was now a vital hub in West Africa's economic landscape. Decades of poor infrastructure had stifled Niger's growth, but a new wave of modern highways changed everything. Chinese firms built roads connecting cities and villages, cutting travel times and costs. Farmers reached markets, children accessed schools, and healthcare became more available. These highways weren't just roads, they were lifelines to a brighter future. Chronic power shortages once plagued Niger, but vast solar farms now harness the desert sun, providing clean, reliable electricity. With Chinese technology and government incentives, solar energy is powering homes, businesses, and new industries. Niger is moving toward energy independence, creating jobs and attracting investment in a sustainable future. Niger's leaders invested in youth, building schools and training centers to equip a young population for the digital age. Startups and tech entrepreneurs are now solving local challenges, from mobile banking to agri-tech. The nation's youth are driving innovation and leading Niger's transformation. Breaking from its colonial past, Niger rejected one-sided ties with France and exited ECOWAS, seeking true sovereignty. The move, controversial but bold, signaled a new era of independence and regional cooperation. Across Africa, many saw Niger's stand as a courageous step toward self-determination. Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso formed the Sahel Alliance, aiming for economic cooperation and security free from outside control. A new regional currency, backed by natural resources, challenged the CFA franc's dominance. With support from partners like Russia and Turkey, the alliance strengthened security and regional stability. The Sahel Alliance became a symbol of hope and collective action for Africa's future. Niger's transformation faces hurdles. Political instability, inflation, and corruption threaten progress. Western skepticism and sanctions risk undermining growth while rapid change strains social systems. Strong institutions and good governance are essential to sustain gains. Constructive international engagement, not punishment, will help Niger build a stable, equitable future. Niger's bold experiment has inspired hope across Africa, challenging old power structures, igniting dreams of economic liberation. Success could ripple across the continent, emboldening others to demand fairer deals and greater sovereignty. The world is watching as Africa's lion begins to roar. Niger's journey from poverty to potential powerhouse is still unfolding, but its choices could reshape Africa's future. If successful, Niger's model of resource nationalism and strategic partnerships may inspire others to break free from dependency. The path ahead is fraught with challenges. Instability, inequality, and geopolitical pressures remain. But Niger's story is a testament to the power of vision, resilience, and the pursuit of true self-reliance. Despite the challenges, there's a palpable sense of optimism, a belief that a new chapter is being written in Africa's long and often troubled history. Niger's transformation, however uncertain its trajectory, is a powerful symbol of this awakening, a testament to the continent's vast untapped potential and its people's unwavering determination to shape their own destinies. Across Africa, a new generation is coming of age, a generation that refuses to be defined by the limitations of the past. They are tech-savvy, entrepreneurial, and acutely aware of their rightful place on the global stage. They are the inheritors of a rich cultural heritage and the architects of a future brimming with possibilities. Niger's story, with its message of self-reliance, innovation, and Pan-African solidarity, resonates deeply with this generation, fueling their aspirations and inspiring them to dream big. The future, as always, is unwritten. But one thing is certain: Africa is on the rise. The old narratives of poverty, conflict, and dependence are being challenged by stories of resilience, innovation, and a burning desire for progress. Niger's journey, while unique in its specifics, is emblematic of this larger trend, a powerful reminder that the balance of power is shifting, and that the 21st century may yet witness the rise of a confident, prosperous, and self-reliant Africa. The world, accustomed to dictating terms and reaping the benefits of an unequal system, would do well to pay attention. The African lion is awake, its roar reverberating across the globe, and the future belongs to those who listen.